Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I really appreciate you taking time to watch my video and I'm so happy that you're here. With the dawn of the new year, I had a list of goals that I wanted to accomplish, and as March approaches, I wanted to cross a huge item off my list, my first YouTube video. The thought was extremely intimidating, but they always say that by believing in your dreams and facing your fears head on, it allows you to live your life beyond limits, and that sometimes your largest fears carry the greatest growth opportunity. I'm not sure where this journey will lead me or what will come of it, but for me, it's the unknown that sparks the excitement and leaves so much room for possibilities. So with the notion that this video will be less than perfect, I'm putting it out into the world to maybe inspire others, but if nothing else, to teach myself that it's okay to be proud of something, even if it has flaws, because the most important thing is that you tried and that you accomplished what you set out to do. If you found me from following my Instagram, you know that photography is a deep love of mine. There are so many elements that can tell a story without speaking a single word. Wardrobe, or lack thereof, in photography is one of those elements. I love finding whimsical, ethereal wardrobe pieces, not only for my photography, but also for my day-to-day attire. But sometimes sourcing wardrobe can be extremely pricey and overwhelming. When shopping for clothing, I typically head to small businesses I find on Instagram or Etsy. Sometimes I'll head to my local thrift store, or I'll browse in online thrift stores. After a lot of trial and error, I found one way that works for me to source and modify wardrobe to not only suit my needs, but hopefully to cut down on textile waste and give gently used garments a new life. In this video, I plan on giving you a brief glimpse into this process by taking you through finding the perfect dress for my vision, and also walking you through the modification process in a tutorial on how to use RIT Color Remover. When I search for a wardrobe, I typically gravitate towards flowy fabrics in shades of white, off-white, and light blue hues. I just really enjoy the ethereal, glowy quality that the fabric and the color combination provide to photos. For this tutorial, I was coveting this beautiful 𝒂𝒑𝒒𝒂𝒍 maxi dress in off-white, but unfortunately, the dress was not in my budget price point. So I decided to head over to Poshmark to see if I could find someone selling the dress new or used. If you're not familiar with Poshmark, I like to think of it as an online thrift store where users can buy and sell new or secondhand fashion items, home goods, and more. By a stroke of luck, I was able to find someone who was selling a new 𝑺𝒐𝒄𝒕𝒔 maxi dress in sand beige for significantly less than the retail price. And although the color was not exactly what I had envisioned, I knew that I would be able to modify it with the RIT Color Remover. This product is usually easily found at your local craft store, or you can purchase it online. I was able to get mine from Joann Fabrics. I'll be sure to include the links for all the products mentioned in this video in the description box below. The dress itself is so romantic, dreamy, and whimsical. The fabric is 100% cotton voile, which adds a gossamer-like quality to the dress. It can be worn belted to accentuate the waist, or it can be left free-flowing. Either way it's worn, the silhouette is so magical thanks to the layered sleeves and the voluminous floor-length skirt. Since this is my first video, I'm still figuring out what feels most natural and authentic to me as a person. To create a YouTube channel, I thought I had to spend tons of time in front of the camera, recording myself talking about the process, which is initially what I did when filming this video. But that method felt unnatural and forced, so I decided to not let my perception of what I thought it had to be cloud my vision, and instead, I merely just filmed the process the way I saw it in my head. As I mentioned earlier in this video, I'm using the RIT Color Remover for this project. The benefit of using the RIT Color Remover is that it's a non-chlorine reductive type of bleach that will not damage or deteriorate your fabrics the way chlorine bleach will. Now I'll take you through the process of using the RIT Color Remover. First, after thoroughly washing and drying your garment to get rid of any finishes, you'll need a large stainless steel pot. I don't own a large stainless steel pot, so I just used the largest one that I had on hand. However, prior to going through this process, I do recommend you testing the size of your pot out for the garment you wish to dye. Unfortunately, I did not test this out prior and realized quickly once I put my dress in the pot full of water that the pot was not large enough for the fabric to float freely. Once you've filled up your pot with enough water for the fabric to move freely, you can cover your pot and begin to heat the water on the stovetop to just below boiling. It should be around 200 degrees Fahrenheit. In the meantime, check the area you are working in to make sure it's well ventilated. Be sure to have a vent fan turned on, if possible. Try to open some windows, and make use of a tabletop fan or an oscillating fan if you have one available. Not having adequate ventilation was another mistake I made during this process, so learn from me and make sure you have proper airflow. Next, after ensuring you have proper ventilation, you can add 1 packet of the RIT Color Remover to your water and mix well with a stainless steel utensil while still keeping the water at a low simmer. Then, once adequately mixed, you can wet your garment with water from your sink and then add it to your pot. I did not pre-wet mine because I was worried that it would make it even more difficult to fit into the pot. Now that your garment is in the pot, you can stir occasionally and watch your garment as its color is slowly removed. Some fabrics take only 10 minutes, such as mine, while others take a full 20 minutes to change to white or off-white. The garment should be left in the bath for no more than 20 minutes. Once your garment has turned white to off-white, which happened like I said pretty quickly for my dress, you can remove it from the pot, rinse it in warm water, which then should be adjusted gradually to cooler water. Continue washing the garment until the water runs clear. Then finally, once thoroughly rinsed, you should wash your garment in warm water with a mild detergent and then gently dry it. Throughout the process, I learned a few things from my first time around. The first lesson is not to wear good clothes when working with this product. This should have been obvious to me at the time, but I was just so excited to use it that I jumped right in without thinking and ruined one of my good skirts. Next time, I'm definitely going to wear an old t-shirt or at the very least an apron. The next lesson was, again, ensure that I have a stainless steel pot and make sure that it was big enough for the garment I wanted to work with. I wasn't able to freely stir the dress in the pot and had to use tongs to flip it over to ensure the dress was fully bathing in the color remover bath. The last lesson, again, is to make sure the ventilation is adequate in the area where you will be working. Luckily, I was able to open a lot of windows and use a fan after the fact, but initially when using the product, my throat felt really sore. Overall, I'm really happy with the result and thought it would be fun to bring you all along on a little photo shoot with the dress and show you some pictures that I took so you can see how it photographs. Some of my favorite locations for self-portrait photo shoots are parks and nature preserves. The scenery is so beautiful, the experience is usually extremely peaceful, and since they are places for the public, you can be confident that you're allowed to be there and do photography in that area. For this shoot, I picked one of the local nature preserves for the backdrop. It was a beautiful evening that was relatively warm for February, although the wind was still quite wicked. I wish I would have had more time to spend shooting this dress, but in the small amount of time that I was able to wear it, I was so impressed with how beautifully it photographed. The fabric has this almost floaty quality to it that I find so dreamy. I am quite pleased with the result in natural light, and I would describe it as sort of an antique white color. Thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like to see more, feel free to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at @𝑷𝒓𝒐𝒅𝒐, as well as over on my Patreon. The links to all of my social channels and the products I used will be in the description box below. It would mean the world if you'd like my video and subscribe to my channel, and please also let me know in the comments what garment you own that you think would be a perfect project for this. I'd love to hear from you. But again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Until then, I hope you have a magical day.